Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the United Star. This is the latest episode of the StarCast brought to you by Wack Essentials. Do check them out. You can see the cool, trendy t shirts that are on the screen. There's this Bruno Fernandez one. You should definitely check it out. You get a 10% off if you use the code United Star. The links are in the description, the code's in the description. Check it out, and you will enjoy it. Shipping's all over India. We have a very, very special episode and a very special guest today in Mark. Mark is from the Manchester United Women's Football Club, Barmy Army MUWFC, and they're doing some fantastic work on Twitter. Do check them out. But Mark, let me get to you straight away. How and when did you get into supporting women's football, and why do you support it so passionately?
I started following the Women's United team when they were formed back in 2018. The reason why is very simple. It's another Manchester United team. My wife and myself were season ticket holders at Old Trafford. We go and watch the 23s, we go and watch the 18s, and when they formed the women's team, it was a no-brainer. We decided to follow them as well. We got season tickets, and we've been hooked ever since.
I mean, that's, the thing is, Mark, in India, the knowledge of the women's game is very limited and not a lot of people are watching it. So how can someone, how do you sort of get into it, and how do you sort of, what are the things that you sort of are doing as a supporters club to get people hooked on?
So there's ways you can watch it with all over the world. There's a free website called the FA Player. There's an app. You can download it on your phones. You can download it on your iPads, whatever you want, and it's free. And you can get every game on there live, and unless it's on BT Sports, then it's delayed coverage. Other than that, you can get it on, watch it on MUTV. You can find ways of watching the games. What we're doing as the Barmy Army, very simply, is we're trying to give this team the same sort of fanism that the men's teams get back here, and we're very small. We're small in numbers, but we're big in noise. And when we go to the grounds, you will hear us. It's very simple.
Right. That's absolutely fantastic, because what's great is that the women's team is doing brilliantly on sort of the table. Like you said, only formed in 2018 and sort of we're joint top of the table, if you think of it that way, with Chelsea. And 32 points in 13 games, that's a great sort of average as well in terms of points. So what are the few things that you can sort of point out as to why the team is a success?
I think for me, and I can only speak on behalf of myself on this point, is that they play the United way. They just do. From the very first game that I went to see them play against Reading, they play with two wingers, which is the United way, and they had a centre forward in the box. And if you like watching free flowing attacking football, then that's what you get with the women's team. They're very attack minded. They're also defensively minded. The manager used to be is a defender, so by nature she builds a team on clean sheets, and then the rest is attacking football.
Right. So, Mark, actually, that's what I was going to ask you. So, Casey Stoney has been sort of an incredible sort of figure at the women's team. So, can you tell us a little bit about her and why she's so influential in the game?
Casey is one of the most decorated women's footballers in the world. She's won numerous FA Cups. She captained Great Britain at the 2012 Olympics. And she was Phil Neville's assistant manager originally for England. And then the job came about for United. And she came, and she's just been brilliant. She understands the ethos of what it is to be a United manager. She understands the club. She's embedded herself into the club, and she gets what it means to fans, not just here in the UK, but around the world, what Manchester United means. And I think if there was ever a club that you wanted to go and manage in the women's team that were going to do it properly, then there's no one. It was only United.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fantastic. And I remember, I think it was in the month of November, where we almost won all the monthly trophies in the league. So Casey Stoney, of course, won the Manager of the Month. Bruno Fernandez won the Player of the Month. I forget who won the Women's Player of the Month. It was.
It wasn't. I don't honestly know who won it in November. I know last month, December's one. It was Leah and Casey again.
Yeah,
and Bruno,
yeah.
I think, got them.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry, it was in December. Sorry, my bad. It was in December.
And Leah.
Yeah, so I mean, it was almost if Ollie would have won the Manager of the Month as well, it would have been the first time in history that it would have been a clean sweep.
Yeah, but Leah Galton, she's we've just United have just won against Everton today, and we were commenting in the game that Leah is just different above everyone else. She's just different class.
Right. So, Mark, what is interesting here is that the domination of American sort of players in the women's game is apparent. Leah, again, is from the other side of the pond, if you may say so. There are a lot of sort of American players in our squad as well, and in the Premier League in sort of general. So, how would you sort of, what is that? What do you put that down to? Because in the men's game, they haven't been able to produce many players at all.
Yeah, it's one of the things about the American game, especially the women's game in America, is that it's built around the national team. The women's leagues, from my understanding, it's not the same as the Premier League or the WSL. It's not based around that. Whereas in America, it is based around the national team. So more players get the opportunity to, they want to play for the country. So Kristen and Tobin are two of the world's biggest stars, and I don't think with what's going on in the current world without COVID, they would have probably come. They would have probably stayed in America. But the American League season being curtailed, they wanted regular football, and there was nowhere else they wanted to come, and it was that simple.
Right, absolutely. So, Mark, why don't you tell me who is your favorite player to watch in the women's game at the moment? Maybe in the Premier League itself.
Yeah, this is going to sound like a cop-out. I don't really have a favourite player to watch. I enjoy watching the whole team. I think this season, the player I've enjoyed watching the most is Jackie Groenen. She's been outstanding all season. She's our attacking midfielder. People might describe her as like a pulse goal. She can see a pass, she can ping it around a bit like that. But she's been brilliant this season, and she's the player I've enjoyed watching probably the most.
Right, absolutely. And what do you make of some of the bigger sort of names? You've already mentioned Tobin Heath and the likes. Also, Alex Morgan coming to Tottenham Hotspur, and these kind of players coming into England. What will that sort of do for the English women's game in your view?
I hope it grows it, because when you get a game, be it at Lee Sports Village where the women play, or away at Boreham Wood or wherever, the crowds are, a couple of thousand or maybe even a few hundred. So hopefully the likes of Tobin and Kristen and when Alex Morgan was over here, if crowds were there, it would have brought more people in. And that's one of the things that we, as a group, fan group, a supporter group, we try to bring as many people into the ground. Currently, we're doing watch-alongs with our members, because that's one of the most important things is the fans, and the fans will make the league. And with these players, if they get the opportunity to see the fans in this country for what they truly are and what we can bring to a game, you might find most of them, they might stay a bit more than they planned on.
Absolutely. So, Mark, let me ask you this then. You've already said the women's team plays sort of in the Manchester United way. Are there any parallels or similarities you can draw with the men's team of United at this moment with the women's one?
I think they play in completely two different styles. I know Ollie, he likes to try and play on the counter, because that's the way he played at United. His team played on the counter, that we, with the likes of Giggsy and Becks on the wings and Scholesy and Keane in the middle. We used to play on break up attacks and get forward. Casey, I think she likes to build it up from the back, and she's got the players. She trusts the players to do that. We're not going to win it. We're not going to score on every attack, but we're going to press and push, and we we played deep and high, and we pressed on the opposition. And today was proof of that with the Everton game. We harried them into making a mistake, and the first goal came simply from a mistake from them. But that's the playing two different styles, really.
Right. So, in general, between the men's and the women's game, what do you see as the biggest differences and sort of the biggest similarities, not pertaining to United, but just the general overall game and the structure of it and the way it's played? What are some of the similarities and differences you see?
United are doing everything the United way. So, with the current COVID testing side of things, what happens for the men on private testing is happening for the women. It's not Manchester United and Manchester United women. It is Manchester United, and the Casey is always, they've amalgamated together. So if it's a press thing, the same press will do the same for the women. It's one club. They're not being separated at all.
Absolutely. So, Mark, I think you said a very important thing there, that it's Manchester United, it's not Manchester United women, and it's not Manchester United men. And I think the more people realize this and the more people understand it, I think the better off both the fans will have the experience of watching the women's game, and the more the women's game will grow. If you may allow, I just might make a point here that too often fans who want to watch the women's game watch a game and they just go like, oh, there's not the same level of physicality, there's not the same level of intensity I'm used to, maybe. But if you give it time, if you watch a couple of games, you realize that there's a lot more nuance to it as well. It's not just if you're looking to find out inferior ability, you will only look at those aspects. But there is a whole other side to the women's game that you may not see in the men's game as well. And I think that's important to realize.
Yeah, it's when I first went to watch a game live at Lee Sports Village, I didn't think it would be as technical as it was. And it is very technical. You're right, there might not be the physicality that people are used to, but trust me, these girls, they can tackle as well.
Absolutely.
And the game isn't renowned for lots of yellow cards and red cards, but the tackles are there, and the girls are physical.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't expect to what you have to realize that while it's the same sport, it's being played by a different set of people. So you can't be looking for this exact same thing that you've been used to. The tactical aspect of it, the technical aspect of it is at times superior with some of the things that the managers are doing in the women's leagues. So I think that's important for people to realize. So Mark, I just want to get some of your thoughts on the men's team moving forward.
Okay.
We've got two bad results against Sheffield and Arsenal. I say bad because had we won the Sheffield game, the Arsenal draw wouldn't have been that bad. But what does this mean now for our title challenge? And where do you sort of pinpoint this down to as to where have things gone wrong for us in these two results?
I actually said on Wednesday to a friend of mine that we're going to lose. I thought we would lose against Sheffield. I had a feeling we would lose. I was never convinced, and I know that there's people out there that were convinced we would win the title. I was never convinced we would win the title. I just, I think Holly is doing it the right way. He's building up a team of good players and great players, and he's bringing them all together. Bruno is obviously the one that everyone talks about. But recently, I don't think Bruno's been at his best. I think Paul Pogba has been outstanding. I can really say that. I think Luke Shaw's also been really good. The result yesterday, I would have taken a point if we would have beaten Sheffield. Exactly. But obviously we didn't. So the point yesterday wasn't great. But in the grander scheme of things, if it was a normal season where fans would be allowed in, that game, you would have taken a point, possibly. I also think the game last night, it was too slow. There was no fans in. There was nothing there to get them going. You know, you saw the way David Luiz celebrated when he headed away a free kick. It's like he scored a goal. I have faith in Ollie. I think he knows what he's doing. He's like I said, he's building a team. You know, Ollie's been our most stable manager since Sir Alex left. And for me, David De Gea, I think I could be wrong on this. David De Gea is the only player left since Alex Ferguson left. So you can see he's got rid. He needs a few players in. He needs some players in. But I think if we don't push this season for it, which in my opinion I don't think we will, I think City will come good. And unfortunately, I don't like to say that. But I think after that we can definitely push forward and challenge again.
I think, Mark, you hit the nail on the head, because I, for one, too, didn't think we were in a real title challenge. Because for all you want to talk about the title challenge, you need players in terms of meaningful squad depth. I think Donny van de Beek was brought in, but he has really not been playing that much. So he doesn't count as that meaningful squad depth. So if you have to take Bruno Fernandes off, there's really nobody else to replace him unless you play Pogba in that role. And on the right back, I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka has been making a lot of mistakes. And we've seen how Telles coming in has really improved Luke Shaw. But two players I've been very disappointed with this season. One has been Anthony Martial, because we expected him to kick on from last season, right? So what do you do, Mark, with Martial? Do you sell him now in the next window? Or do you bench him right now and not give him a run of games? How do you deal with that?
I think with Tony Marshall, he's a confidence player. I think it's all down to confidence. If he scores one, he'll get a bag load, but he needs that confidence. I think with Ollie, he doesn't know where to play him. I think it boils down to that simple. For me, he's not a number 9. He's not an out-and-out striker. He's better coming off the left. But then when you play him on the left, where do you play Rashford? Because Rashford's better coming off the left than the right. Would I sell him? It's difficult in today's market to see anyone wanting to buy him. But I think if you're going to get rid of either him or anyone else right now, I think he's, unfortunately, would be the one you'd probably ask to go. Because I think Cavani, obviously when Cavani starts, we play a completely different game. But yeah, he's one of the, Anthony Martial is one of those players that can do something great in a minute and then give the ball away, and you'll just go, I don't understand what's going on.
So the other player, I completely agree with you. And the other player you actually mentioned was Marcus Rashford, moving on the left, then sometimes on the right. I think that may be affecting his game. But Mark, my problem is his numbers. If you show just his numbers, they're fine. You take that decent numbers. But it feels that he's lost his ability to make a decision almost. He just keeps running over dribbles with the ball, doesn't pass it when he has to, and he just does not want to pull the trigger. He does not shoot quick enough. So what is going wrong with Marcus Rashford? Because he is one player I rate very highly.
Yeah. Personally, I think he's absolutely knackered. Yesterday, there was a stat that I heard that since Project Restart, when the Premier League came back after the initial lockdown, last night was Manchester United's 47th game.
Yeah,
we don't play that many games in a normal season. I think the players are knackered, and I think last night's game was proof of that. I also think Marcus, he doesn't need confidence. He just needs to score a goal somehow. And he is our best attacking option. Players are scared when he's on the ball. But I also think he could use with a rest. And I think if you gave him a rest, you might just see the best of him again.
So, Mark, I go back to this question. You rest Rashford, and then whom do you play?
If you rest Rashford, and you could play Mason instead, because Mason's not playing a lot, and then you've also got the new. You could also play, Diallo. You could also play Mata if you had to as an attacking option. You can also play Donny. We don't have to necessarily have anyone in a set position. It's just maybe take them out of the game for a little bit, give them a rest. Don't the same with Bruno, because if you lose Bruno, then I start to fear for us a little bit.
If we lose Bruno, that could be the end of our season, to be honest, because what happens is also people don't realize this is that almost every game we play now, Bruno is double marked. So two people are marking Bruno Fernandes and they want to play him out of the game. And even then he's trying to create space. He's trying to create that influence. But obviously when a player like Thomas Partey is sort of marking you, it's more difficult to do it than maybe someone who's not as good as Thomas Partey is doing it. But Mark, I just need to get this in as well. however bad Marcus Rashford or Mason Greenwood or Martial have been, there's no room to racially abuse them. There's no room to go after their kids, to go after their family. That is not done. I mean, some of the comments the so-called fans have put on their sort of Instagram posts and their Instagram pages, some of the abuse Martial's wife has received, it's appalling and it's shocking. And these guys, whoever are these people who are doing it, might as well stop watching football and call yourself Manchester United fans, because there's no place for you.
No, it's unfortunately part of the world we live in today. I as a fan group, as a supporters group, the BA, we condone anything like that at all. Whether it's on the men's side or the women's side, it's wrong. These people are out there doing a job. If they don't play well, it doesn't. It's not the end of the world. It's a game of football. Yes, we're all passionate. Yes, we all support the team. But at the end of the day, they don't deserve that. If I go into work and I do something wrong, I wouldn't expect anything like that.
Absolutely.
I'd just go, you know what, I've done it wrong. It's the end of it's done.
Absolutely. And Mark, this is the thing. There's a lot of room for criticism. It's not that you can't criticize a player. I, for one, you could analyze what they made a mistake in, technically, tactically, what was wrong. But there's absolutely no need to do it even. How can your first thought be to racially abuse a player when he's done something wrong? It's absolutely ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, and in the country here, in the UK, these people will be found. They'll be probably prosecuted. They'll be kicked off social media. But it's not enough for me. It's like you said. It's the first thought is to do it, and that's what's wrong, in my opinion. It's the first thing. Axel Tuanzebe, for me, is a future Manchester United captain. Yeah, he had a bad game on Wednesday. Bad. But the key word there is he's not had 15, 20 bad games. He's had a bad game.
But Mark, even if he has 15, 20 bad games, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter. But, Anthony Martial, you said it before, he's not played well all season. But now all of a sudden against Sheffield United, he doesn't deserve that. He's a man, he's a married man. He's got young children. And that's what he gets. It's out of order, and I don't.
Also, Mark, these so-called fans keep calling themselves fans, and the way they go after someone as young, even Marcus Rashford and Martial are so young, and Mason Greenwood, he's been tried and tested in media infinitely. So people need to realize that at the end of the day, these people aren't machines just because they earn an X amount of salary and they do a job that we dream of doing. Basically, that doesn't mean that they're machines. They're yet human beings, and there's no room for this. And taking the knee doesn't solve the problem. There needs to be stricter action against these kind of things.
Yeah, I also think, I'm not trying to give anyone an out here, because that's not what I'm going to do. But I also think that if fans were allowed in stadiums, and obviously we're not, I think that would get rid of a lot of the anxiety, the anger that's going on. I think. But I don't condone it. I won't condone it. These people need to be found and dealt with. It's very simple.
Absolutely. So, Mark, let me move on to a player that you said has been very good, which is Luke Shaw. So, there are two things in my mind that Luke Shaw has been bubbling under the radar. Sort of, we keep saying that if he can get a run of games, then he'll be good. But that is one, and the second thing is Alex Telles' inclusion in the squad has sort of rejuvenated him. Yeah. Would you say at this point Luke Shaw is our second most important player?
Yes, I probably would. I've criticised Luke Shaw. I thought at the very beginning when he signed for Manchester United, he was brilliant, and then obviously he got a terrible, terrible injury that I don't think he fully recovered from properly. I think he might have been rushed back. But this season, and it's the same maybe with David De Gea in a way, that Luke Shaw knows he's going to play most weeks because he's got no competition. And I think the signing of Alex Telles has gone, actually, I better start playing. He is probably right now on the team sheet ahead of, next to Bruno, is the most important two, probably.
And you know what, Mark? I feel if we'd played the Sheffield game, we'd have probably won that game. But that's obviously in the past, it's done and dusted. But
I think I think the thing with the Sheffield game is that I thought Alex Telles played really well. I thought his crossing into the box was outstanding, and I think if you could take that from Alex Telles' game and give it to Luke Shaw, I think Luke Shaw would be an all-round better left back. But I like the way Luke Shaw's playing right now. I just hope he doesn't do what Luke Shaw does and gets a stupid little injury that keeps him out for months.
Absolutely. But Mark, with the Sheffield game, I wanted to make a wider point. As much as we love sort of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and how much he's moved this club forward, I feel one of the biggest problem areas where he still struggles with is substitutions. Somehow he just does not get them right in the crucial moments. So why do you think that is? Do you think it is because he doesn't trust the players on the bench? Or do you think we don't have options on the bench at all? Like Mata is not a viable option in his mind. Dan James in his mind is not a viable option. Do you think that is the case?
Yeah, I agree in part. I think the substitutions, it either leaves them far too late for them to make any sort of impact on the game, or he doesn't do them early enough where they could make an impact. The one game I will talk is when he brought Cavani on at half-time against Southampton. It was the right time to bring him on, and he came on and he made an impact to the game. Dan James is an interesting one because I think he could be a brilliant player for us, but he's a confidence player, and he needs that confidence. I think he needs that confidence. But again, when we were talking about if you're going to leave out Marcus or Anthony Martial, you forget about Dan James because he's not in the team's limelight anymore. So you could always, you can play Dan James on the right or the left, and Mason can play on whichever opposite. Mata is an interesting one. I don't think Mata can influence. I think Juan Mata, you need to start him to influence the game. I don't think he can do that coming off the bench. I think that the lack of depth is on the bench. I struggle with it, and I think that's what I said before. We need a few more players that we can either bring on and see what they truly are, or you can promote from the youth team and see what they can do. But there is a depth issue that I think there's a bit of a depth issue there.
Mm-hmm. So Mark, now I'm going to throw you a bit of a curveball, if it may be.
Okay.
The next game's against Southampton. After that, we play Everton. After that, West Brom, and then Newcastle. These are our next 4 games. 12 possible points. How many do you think we can get?
Southampton's going to be a tough game on Tuesday night. There's no question about it. Southampton have dipped a bit in form. So, but it's Manchester United, and everyone who has a bad run of form, all of a sudden you'll find it rises again. I would happily take 10 points out of the next 12.
Because that's an interesting way to look at it. Because if you think about it, Southampton and Everton are, of course, very good teams, very well-coached teams, a lot of talent there. Whereas Newcastle and West Brom are sort of on the down relegation teams, you could say. So I agree with you, I'd take 10 points. But here is the curveball. We play West Ham in the FA Cup in the middle and Real Sociedad before the Newcastle game and after the Newcastle game in the Europa League. How do you approach these set of games? Because let me add a little more spice to it, because after the second leg against Sociedad at home, we've got Chelsea and Man City. So how do you approach these run of fixtures? Do you let the Europa League go completely?
I don't think Ollie will let the Europa League go. It's important to him. We got to the semi-final last year. We got to the semi-final of the Carabao. If I was to want to go out of any competition right now, I would probably say the FA Cup. We're not too heavily we're not far into it enough. The Newcastle game will be interesting because obviously we play Europa, we come back. You might just see a lot of squad. You might see for the Europa League, you'll make a lot of squad rotation. So Dean Henderson might start in that game, and Telles, Van der Beek, and all these people will start, and he'll probably give everyone a rest. Back home, Matic might start, and Mata. And I think that the Europa League game is probably easier to call than the Newcastle game, because I think that's where he will start to rotate everyone around. And if Jesse Lingard were here, I think you'll find Jesse would have started in Real Sociedad as well. Right. But I think he'll squad rotate for that game.
Mark, here I disagree with you a little bit. I feel that the FA Cup is our best chance of a trophy this season now, because the Europa League, you might beat Sociedad, right? First of all, Sociedad are doing really well. Let's take that into account. But if we beat them, for all you know, our next game might be somewhere in Ukraine or somewhere in Belarus. You never know what's going to happen. And that could absolutely kill our Premier League chances.
Yeah, no, true. It really could. But I think the Europa League, the reason why the FA Cup would be great. I mean, I've been to FA Cup finals where we've won. I've been to FA Cup finals where we've lost. Winning the FA Cup is special, but when you have the Europe, it's winning it in Europe is something a bit different. And I think Ollie, he won't prioritise any. He will go for everything he can, and in the West Ham FA Cup game, you'll see some rotation there. I think you'll see it from both managers because West Ham are there in the European places as well. So I think that'll be a game of rotation. But I think Ollie wants a European trophy. I think we all do. We all want a Premier League. But I also think Ollie would want that European trophy of some sort.
Right. So, Mark, let me leave you then with two predictions. Where do we finish in the league? What league position? And second, do we win a trophy this season? And if yes, which one?
Where do I think we'll finish in the league? I'm going to say I think we'll finish second. We've got winnable games coming up. Like you said, we've got Newcastle, we've got West Brom. And then, like you said, you've got the likes of Chelsea and City, and the City game for the first time will be an important game. I think second in the league, will we win a trophy? I'm going to say we might get to a final, but I don't think we'll win it if we get to one. Right.
So I kind of agree with you. I think I think there's too many fixtures and too many games. Like you already said, played 47 already since restart, and just going through the fixtures, we have a game almost every 48 hours now. And it's impossible for these players to keep on performing that way. And eventually it will come down to a bit of luck. So if it does go our way, we might win something. But Mark, it's been absolutely fabulous having you on.
Thank you.
And I mean, it's great what y'all are doing for the women's sport. And I hope more people in India and more people across the world start following the game, because it adds to sort of the culture of the sport, and it adds to the integrity as well. So thank you to you and the Manchester United Women's Fan Club, Barmy Army. I think MUWFC. I've seen the stuff you'll do on Twitter. It's fantastic. So guys, do check them out. The link is in the description. Do check out Back Essentials as well. Remember, the episode is brought to you by them. They have really cool t-shirts. The code United Star brings you a 10% discount. So do check that out. Subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you all soon with another episode of the StarCast.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching our video. If you do like it, please click on the thumbs up and please subscribe to our channel. Click on the bell icon to get daily notifications from the United Star. Follow us on Instagram at the.UnitedStar, and we will see you soon.